Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys 2 more of these really easy Crockpot freezer meals. So these are dump and go freezer meals that you store in your freezer and then just dump in your Crockpot. So the first one is a mulligatawny soup. So I'm going to be starting with some diced onions. Then I'm going to be adding 1 diced jalapeno without the seeds and 1 diced up apple. Next, I'm going to be adding some crushed ginger. I'm adding about 3 of these ginger cubes, which is about 3 teaspoons of ginger. The recipe called for a can of diced tomatoes, which I did not have on hand, but I just diced up a tomato myself from my garden. And then I'm adding some rinsed and drained jasmine rice and red lentils. So it was about 1.5 cups of red lentils and about 1 cup of jasmine rice. So then I'm adding some spices, some turmeric, garam masala, cinnamon, and nutmeg. And I'll link the exact recipe that I followed in the description box down below. I did omit some ingredients just based on what I had in my pantry. Then I'm also just going to be adding 1 vegetable bouillon cube. And then the last ingredient is a can of coconut milk. So once you have all the ingredients added in here, you're just going to seal up the bag very tightly. And I like to freeze these flat so that this way they take up less space in my freezer. And then when you go to cook it, all you'll have to do is defrost it for long enough that you could get all the contents into your crock pot, cover it with enough water, usually do low for 6 to 8 hours and high for 4 to 6 hours. So it really just depends on your crock pot. And once those lentils are done, then it is good to go. So the next meal I'm going to be making is something that I love to make, especially during apple picking season, and it is my vegan apple meatballs. So this is really nice because it's kind of like a one dish meal. I usually serve this over mashed potatoes, but you could always serve it over rice or you could just eat it on its own. So I'm just adding a bag of baby carrots and then a bag of vegan meatballs. I'm going to be adding the equivalent of half an onion diced and then the equivalent of 1.5 apples diced. I'm also going to be adding about 1.5 cups of apple cider. I have this spiced apple cider from Trader Joe's, but any local apple cider would be good. If you don't have apple cider, you could always use apple juice. My recipe also calls for a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. I just didn't have any on hand, so I just omitted it. And then I also decided to add a little bit of maple syrup just for some extra sweetness. And then I'm going to be adding some everything but the leftover seasoning, some sage leaves, and some vegan bouillon. So I'm just going to add half of a bouillon cube for this because it's not really going to be a soup, so I don't want it to be too salty. And then Once all the ingredients are in here, you are just going to close your bag up, freeze it flat, and then when it's ready for the crock pot, you don't have to add any extra liquid to this because that apple cider is going to be liquid enough. So you're just going to add all the contents into the crock pot. And this one I usually cook on low for about 4 hours. I don't let it go too long in there because you don't want everything to overcook, but you just want to make sure that those carrots are soft. So I hope you guys like this video. Let me know if you want to see more like this. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys!